Well, another tournament match followed the first tournament match, and I don't know if it followed it, but it came afterwards. Let's put it that way. See, folks, I would have been killer on the Borscht Belt in the 50s, doing all the clubs in the Poconos.
The
Ricochet,
Catskills.
The Catskills. Even well, I want to work it out on the road first, and then go to the Catskills. Another tournament match, Ricochet and our friend Okada. Because I can't even have any fun with this fucking broken down shell of a man by giving him a nickname anymore. Please, can't somebody put him in a chair and wheel him the fuck out? Jeez, so Ricochet was a big baby face. He came in with great fanfare, and from what we were led to believe is millions of dollars of commitment on Tony Khan's part from the WWE to debut, and they loved him. And has he been there 3 months? And he managed to somehow go from being a fucking raving babyface that everybody was saying was the savior of the company to, we don't really like this guy. Boy, this guy's turned out to be a fucking nerd.
Well, did you see? There was footage at the Hammerstein. I think that was one of the shows that aired during our break. I think it was him against Ospreay, and the fans, instead of streamers, were throwing toilet paper at him.
Well, yes, and then they actually did something on one of the TV tapings that they did, or no, on this pay-per-view here. What am I thinking about? It's on this coming up. See, my mind. I'm a COVID survivor, goddammit. That started in Ring of Honor back in the late 2000s in Manhattan Center in the Hammerstein Ballroom, where they, for the big title matches, they would throw streamers, right? Like they did in Japan. And it was a cool visual in that building, and everybody, you've seen it. They throw the streamers, blah, blah, blah.
They were doing it before then, though, for the record.
Who was doing it before then?
Ring of Honor. They were doing it before the Manhattan Center in, 2009 or anything.
Okay, but what I'm saying to you is in that particular building. I'm not saying they invented the concept in the whole fucking universe. Right. I'm saying in that building, they were throwing the streamers, and I can't remember who it was, what heel it was, so I'd be happy to be, informed. But to be wise asses, the New York fans, instead of throwing streamers at them, they threw toilet paper. Like, you are the shit. So that's what the people were doing there, was they remembered from doing that years ago. That is not a thing that just happened. A lot of people may have seen it for the first time from their reaction. But then, that's what I'm saying, is bad enough when the fans do it, but the fans, then they actually make it part of the show where they can't help but being cheesy, can they? Is what I'm saying to you.
So you're against the idea of embracing it?
Well, I think it's great when the fans do it, but when you've got the guys out there copying you've got a top babyface copying something the fans just did, what, organically, as the kids say, I think that looks cheesy, is what I'm saying to you. If he'd have thought of it, or if he'd have thunk of it first, is what I'm saying. But when the fans have already done it, and now, here comes Swerve stealing other people's material. I don't know. But that's the point I'm making also. Ricochet went from second coming to, can you please be going? Now the people hate him. He's a douchebag. His real personality is apparently showing through on Twitter. So now they've just not only made him a heel, but a nerd or a geek type that gets pushed around and or made fun of and or whatever. Has there ever been somebody that was, well, probably in this company, you can quote me 3 or 4, that started out so popular and got so fucking unpopular so quick, but maybe Mercedes, or even then. They still haven't thrown toilet paper at her.
Yeah, I think she almost has a slight recovery just because at least they like her matches. But with Ricochet, it's not that long ago where WWE at the end of his contract was giving him a push. And he was involved in that program with Braun Breaker on Raw. And it was the best stuff he ever did in WWE. And it was kind of, I guess, potentially a sample of how they would treat him going forward. And then he went to AEW, came in with a bunch of fanfare, got the big reaction the first night in. And now the fans are sick of him.
And the fans are throwing toilet paper at him, and one of the baby faces is wiping his ass with it and throwing it on top of him. So anyway, we got to get there first, folks, because Okada, seriously, help me. He looks like facially like he ought to be working in the accounting department and moves like he should be in a body cast. And he actually jumped up and tried to do a few things over the course of this night, but the announcers have to put him over like he's this, world-beating, incredible fucking athlete and wrestler, and what people are seeing doesn't fit. And they're wondering why the people don't give a shit besides people who already knew who the fuck he was. And nobody else. Because if you've just seen this, what the fuck? And again, Ricochet and Okada now, who's the heel here? Okada was in the top heel group, the Lollipop Guild, with the Buckaroos until the last we saw of them on camera was they ran in fear out of the building, and that was it. So now this guy can't talk. He can't work. He looks like shit. He's got no angle going, but he beats every fucking body. The crowd was cheering him here because Ricochet is a bigger dick. But it was a glacial pace compared to the first match because there's no way that Okada could do anything like any Ricochet, Ospreay, or Fletcher. But Ricochet tried to make up for it by going twice as fast. But, I mean, did you say Okada told the crowd to be quiet, and they didn't have a problem following that instruction? And then he ran crisscross around the ring, hitting the ropes 4 times while Ricochet was just sitting there on his ass dumbfounded. And then he ran up behind him and slapped him in the head. This guy is supposed to be the greatest tournament wrestler in the world, and he's doing Boogie Woogie Jimmy Valiant spots from 1993.
They kept saying that. I mean, by the end of the night, especially, and then on Dynamite, the greatest tournament wrestler ever.
And who gives a shit?
And the fans have seen him in exactly 1 tournament. Where's Eddie Kingston? Didn't Eddie Kingston win this last year?
Well, yeah, but he hurt himself. Did he break his leg?
Did he? Or was that the time before that? Point is, he's been gone a long time. I forgot he was the Continental Champion.
Well, that's the thing is Okada, and then the last couple minutes, he'll turn it up a little bit, but he works like he's doing the walkthrough at 3:30 in the afternoon. And Ricochet is embracing being a heel to people, but now they've got a midget heel whose only appeal is doing flashy babyface shit for millions of dollars. And a lot of this was brutal. And then Okada says, "Oh, keep chopping me. Now let's do the fake forearms." Ricochet flipped some more, but he's a heel, so who gives a shit? Okada did the clumsy elbow off the top, gave the camera the finger. They flipped back and forth for a minute. Okada hit a drop kick, and Ricochet immediately reacted to that by picking Okada up and dropping him on his head and getting a 2 count. And then Ricochet hit a shooting star press off the top rope and got a 2 count. And then more kicks I'm reading my notes now, more kicks by both, and suddenly Okada jumped up and hit that shitty Rainmaker clothesline and beat him 1, 2, 3. So, again, leaping, flaming pile drivers can't stop you, but that one little short arm clothesline is deadly. The fuck? And then, do you want to get to the afterbirth or any comments on this match?
No, I mean, it was fine, I guess, for what it was. You kind of hit on the big thing. Okada coasts, and then he turns it up for the last few minutes, especially in the later match, but he did it here too. And I guess booking-wise, you had the tease of a potential Ricochet-Ospreay rematch, but instead you got Okada-Ospreay.
Well, you might have had a rematch, or you might have a deal where they both go in together and one with 6 points and the other with 3 points, and then they have a draw, which is like kissing your sister with your finger up her ass.
Is that what that's like?
See, that would be the setup to the next tournament. So then Okada left, and Swerve came out and stood in the entranceway. And Ricochet told him, I'm going to win this, or no, he Ricochet, and he told Ricochet that said he was going to win the tournament. But Swerve said if Ricochet blew it, he was going to embarrass him. And so now we're going to clean up your mess. And Nana came out with a fucking little red wagon full of toilet paper and gave it to the fans, and they threw it at Ricochet. But they had just previously done that at the Hammerstein in New York on their own, which is why I say it was at the. They're just trying. But anyway, so that and now Swerve has been reduced to coming out and giving the fans toilet paper. This supposed most dangerous man. It wasn't even a novel way to embarrass him. The fans had just done it. That's my point. All right, moving on. Correct? Or do you have any comments about the Tidy Bowl?
Moving on.